Hey everybody, it's Dana. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to show you a tutorial on how to use Colorburst. Colorburst is concentrated powder, and this product is made by Colorburst Crafts, and I am totally addicted to this stuff. So today we're going to be working with, this is called the Bright collection. So we have some really gorgeous colors. Let me show you some cards I made. This also comes in an earth tone collection, and there are 6 bottles of that as well. So let me show you some that I've made already. So I have been having so much fun with this product. It is absolutely fantastic to work with. So many of these cards have been up on my Instagram and on my blog, but I've been getting a lot of questions on how I'm doing this technique and how I'm getting my letters, or my sentiment rather, popped off of my artwork. And it's really, really simple to do. So let's get started. I'm just going to grab some Tim Holtz Distress Watercolor cardstock. This is my favorite cardstock for this technique because it holds up very well. Now I'm just going to grab 2 colors to work with this. So I'm actually going to use, I think, the orange and the lemon, since it's going into fall now. So I like to work on the smooth side of this paper. This paper has a rough texture and then a smoother texture. I'm going to work on the smoother side. And before I get started, I want to really saturate my paper because this helps for the color to move rather quickly. So I'm just going to spritz my paper. As you can see, I already had some of my Colorburst left over on my mat, but I'm not going to worry about that. And I'm just going to tap out very lightly some of this powder. And as you can see, the water just helps it to move right along. I really don't have to do anything. The water is doing all the work for me. While it's still wet, I'm going to go in with my orange, and this is when the magic happens. You'll see that beautiful color just blend. Now if I want to get my paper to move a little bit more, all I have to do is lightly spritz it some more, and I can get that color to really move. Now what I like to do is to tilt it just a little bit so my colors start to flow. So as you can see, I'm getting reds in there and more burnt orange color. But let's kick it up a notch. I think I want to add some blue into this. So I'm just going to grab my blue. This is ultramarine blue. And I'm just going to add a little bit here and there. And I'm not worried if I get too much in one corner, because all I have to do is come back in with my water and I can spritz it and move it around. So now again, I'm just going to pick up my card and I'm just going to move it around. The water will get it flowing for me. When I get to where I like, at this point I like to just stop. I'm going to grab some paper towel and I'm going to blot up some of my water. Now this also is going to give it some texture because there's texture in my paper towel. So I'm just going to lightly dab it. And then I want to heat set this with my heat gun. Okay, so there is our color. Now I can kick this up a notch. If I just take a clean paper towel, I can add more water, and it's going to react to the water. It's going to pull some of that color up for me. Can you see? I can still get another design in there. So I'll have a little bit more splotchiness going on. I can dab up, as you can see, I don't know if you can see that. Can you see how it's reacting to the water? So now you have a really cool water effect. Now what I'm going to do is grab a die, and I'm going to use this Big Hugs die here, and this is from Simon Says Stamps with an S, and I'm going to lay it out on my paper. And I'm just going to go ahead and run this through my my die cut machine. Okay, so now all I have to do is flip this over. Now I want to make sure I keep these smaller pieces in here. So I'm just going to grab my tweezers and pop out the sentiment. I want to hold on. I want to hold on to these little pieces here. All right, now we have our sentiment. So I'm going to pop out these here because I want to save those. And I'm also going to grab a piece of fun foam, and I'm going to run this through my die cut machine. Okay, so we've cut that, and now we have our popped up piece. So what to do is just pop that out. Now I don't need to keep these white pieces here. I don't need to keep those. So now that gives my sentiment something to pop it up off of my card base. I'm going to just use some Martha Stewart's regular craft glue, and I'm going to grab my tweezers, and I'm just going to put some of the glue on the back of this. I want to make sure I get a good amount so it adheres very well to my fun foam. And you can use any kind of glue you want. I just choose this one because it dries pretty quickly. And all I'm going to do is just flip this over and place it right on top of my fun foam. And if you want, you can offset it a little bit so you have a white outline, or you can just make sure it goes directly on top. Using the glue gives me a little bit of wiggle room to move everything nicely into place. Then I'm just going to press down. Make sure I get that glue to adhere. Alrighty, and there is our sentiment. So what I want to do with this is cut this down just a little bit so I can have a border of a white card around. So I'm just going to grab my cutter, and I'm just going to cut a little bit down. So I'm going to go from all four corners. Go from here so it's kind of even all the way around. Clean that up. One here, and then our last corner. And that's going to give me a good border all the way around. So now we have a pretty card where I can have that white cardstock around it. So here is my card base. I'm just going to grab my bone folder. Just going to line it up and put in my crease. So now, as you can see, we have a pretty white border around our card. I'm also going to use a little bit of this glue to hold this panel down, especially because it's been watercolored and it's a little bit warped. I want to make sure I get a very good stick on my card. I'm also going to go in all of where the sentiment has been cut out, because I want that to lay down nicely on my card so my sentiment pops up very pretty. I'm just going to run some down each side just to make sure I have enough glue. I'm going to grab my tweezers again, grab that, and help me line this up. Because I'm using glue, I have, like I said, a little bit of wiggle room to get that in place. Just going to clean up this edge just a little bit. Alrighty, so now the card base is done. Next, I'm going to grab my sentiment again, pop it over. I'm going to use more glue to get it to pop up. I'm going to actually set this aside so it has time to dry flat. Okay, so it has dried, so now I'm going to take my sentiment, going to grab my glue again. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go ahead and get my glue on the back of here so I can insert it onto my card. Now I'm going to take this and put it under a book to put some weight down on it. Okay, so there's our sentiment. So the last thing we need to do is fill back in our holes. And that's why we want it to hold on to these little pieces. Make sure I have my pieces where they belong. Going, add a little bit of glue, and we're going to pop them right back in the spot where they came out. And then our last tiny little piece. Whoop. Okay, and there is our card. Now, to dress the card up just a little bit, I went ahead and added in some matching sequins. And that completes the card today. I hope you guys like this little tutorial. Make sure to follow me right here on my YouTube channel so you don't miss a thing. You can also check me out on all my other social media links. I'll see you guys soon. Go forth and be colorful.